Hi, I'm Medi Ivy, and I do writing mentorships with writers where I spend 10 weeks with them. We do an intense mentorship, and every week we get together, chat about what's going on, we set new goals. You can find out more about that at www.mediivymentorships.com. And today I'm here to give you the top 3 tips for writing a standout book. Okay? I'm sure that you have had the experience that you have looked at a book and read it, and everybody told you it was great, but you thought it was trite, boring, that it has stole a bunch of things from whatever the last hottest book was, and you either didn't finish it or finished it and wished that you could get your money back, okay? My goal here is to help you figure out how not to write that kind of book. I want there to be better books in the world. I want you to write better books. I want you to push yourself harder. One of my taglines is write the better book, write the harder book. Don't keep working on a book that you thought of 5 years ago, that you thought of 10 years ago, that you thought of 20 years ago, because you are a better writer now and you have better ideas now. And you just need to let go of those things. So here are my top 3 tips for writing the harder book, writing the standout book. Number 1, you need to have a unique voice. So, one of the problems that I see a lot with writers is that they are so worried about getting something grammatically wrong that they tend to make their voice, their writing voice, like every sentence that they write, so perfectly grammatic that um, it it sounds like an English teacher wrote it. It doesn't sound unique. So, my suggestion for you is, I know you're writing prose, but I want you to think about it as poetry. And this is something I tell people all the time about voice. Voice is when you make mistakes in grammar on purpose and you leave them in. So yes, you're going to have copy editors who say, they query you on the side, or do you want to leave this way because it's grammatically incorrect? And you're going to say yes to them. You want your voice to be unique. You want it to sound like a specific person. It may not sound like you, but if you have a unique voice, if you come from a specific city, and most of us do come from a city where there's a very distinctive twang or accent or vocabulary that's used there, use that. If you don't want to use your own voice, then think of someone who has a voice and use that voice as the voice that you channel every sentence that you write. That's how you get a book that sounds like it's different than everybody else's book. Okay, tip number 2 for writing a standout book: characters that sparkle. Okay, I see people who write characters all the time and they feel like everyman characters. I know you may have heard somebody give you writing advice that says that you want to write characters that everybody can relate to. And here's what I'm going to say back to that. Do not write characters that everybody can relate to, because that makes them bland and uninteresting. What you want to do is have characters that are distinct, that have flaws, that make mistakes, that may make some people annoyed. Those are the kind of characters that you want. And then you want more than one of them, and you want them to smack up against each other and drive each other crazy and make sparks fly in your book. You, as a writer, if you can create those characters to begin with, they're going to drive the book for you, and you are practically just going to sit there and write down what they have to say to each other. Because if you create characters like that, a lot of the work is going to be done for you in advance. Okay, tip number 3 for writing a standout book is you want plot twists that no one saw coming. Now, you know that when you watch the last Hollywood movie, that that was a big mega blockbuster, that there were a bunch of plot twists that you were like, yawn, I knew that was coming. Like, I knew that he was going to be his father. I knew that, it was going to be this old girlfriend that I thought was dead, right? Okay, so you don't want to do that. You want to have plot twists that are unique and interesting. And the way you're going to do this is, when you are writing, every time you come to a moment where the plot is going to twist and turn, you're going to write a list of a list of 3 to 10 items that might happen next, right? Write them down, right? Then throw them away. Because the first list of things that your brain comes up with are going to be the obvious things. And then you're going to write another list, and these are going to be less obvious things. That's what you're going to do every time that the plot twists. You're going to go for the not obvious. and then you're going to make it work. I admit that sometimes it's going to be tricky and you're going to have to go back to the beginning and make sure that you make those plot twists work. But I guarantee you, you're going to have a better book, you're going to have a harder book, you're going to have a book that stands out and is unique and that people don't say when they read it, it's, it's like every other book I've ever read. That's what you want.